Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'll be talking about holy basil, its four types, and how I start them from seed. I initially got into holy basil while looking for a more authentic version of one of my favorite Thai dishes called Kra Prao Gai, which is Thai for holy basil minced chicken. It's a really delicious dish, and the version they make in the restaurants that I've had is made with Thai basil, which is your regular licorice flavored basil that you also find in pho. So I looked for holy basil. I got some seeds. I planted it out, and it didn't taste like anything that I had imagined. So I went on the internet, looked some more, and I discovered that there are a few varieties, but then I couldn't find out which variety I needed. There were four types. There looked like five, six, and then with the help of my buddy over at Sacred Plants, Nevin, he commented on a video that I was making, and he helped me figure out everything. So this is an updated video, and I will go over what I've learned from this botanical interest and share that with you, and hopefully it will make it less confusing, because I was completely confused in the beginning and even had the wrong type. So sitting underneath this plant is one of the varieties of holy basil. This is also known as tree basil, and its specific variety is Vana. And holy basil is also known as Tulsi in Hindi, and the four variety names are derived from I believe Hindi, and with Thai holy basil being called Kra Prao in Thai, because I'm not sure that they use the other three types for cuisine or any type of spiritual or medicinal uses. So this is a once again a tree basil, one of the varieties. It's a perennial. It's drought tolerant. It's very drought tolerant. I actually forgot to water it for a long time, and it in a pot, and it's here today still. So I planted it down here. It's got lots of seeds, and the seeds I found on holy basil, they stay in their pods. They don't just break away and sow themselves all over. I've had this tree out here for a year now, and you don't see a bunch of tree basil around. So we'll start here, and I'll show you the rest of the other three varieties. Let's start off by taking a closer look at the Vana Tulsi, and we have this very nice looking trunk. It has very, very interesting and nice looking bark. So it's perennial out here in California, which means it'll grow year after year, and I forget how tall they get, maybe 8 feet, but I'm not entirely sure. Here is one of the leaves. It's got a velvety leaf, and its shape is sort of like an arrowhead. So let's move along this way, and I will show you the other variety of Tulsi. And when you get seeds for Tulsi or holy basil, you're more likely to get this variety. This is the Kapoor Tulsi, and its leaves are also kind of arrowhead shape, but I guess this is more of a traditional leaf if you were to draw a leaf. It's not as velvety. This is a very quick to bolt variety. Here are some flowers, and I like planting them out here. This is a little bit of a cover crop for me. This is where I plant my chestnut garlic, and I use it to shade my soil because I don't want it being baked by the sun and killing all the organisms underneath and drying it out as well. So I plant this Kippur basil here, and I've said it many times in previous videos, and every time I talk about this basil, it smells like bubblegum. And that's the cool thing about it. Like, you can just go like this and brush it up, and it'll release that scent in the air, and you can get it on your hands. And I think this is the one that I'm not privy to the Ayurvedic culture. So if you like to help us out and comment below, I love to learn about it. But this is the one that they're probably going to be making tea out of for ceremonies and just for good health too. So this is the Kippur Tulsi. Alright, I'll take you to the back and I'll show you the other two varieties. So in this planter I have a couple of varieties of basil, and we can see the contrast of the different varieties. This is the Rama Tulsi, and in Thai this is the Kra Prao, and this is the holy basil that I was seeking, and it took me a while to find, and I'm actually grateful because now I've learned about holy basil, and I've also learned about the different varieties. And when looking for holy basil, specifically this type, when people just say, you know, it's holy basil or sacred basil, the distinguishing attribute of the Thai holy basil is that the leaves are asymmetric. So if you look down the center here vertically, you will notice that the leaves, the notches don't line up, they're not symmetric. So that's one way to know. I've actually haven't tasted this, and I'm looking forward to harvesting some and making some Kra Prao Gai, and I'll do that in an upcoming video and show you. This here is right next to it is sweet basil or Italian basil. So you can see kind of the difference. And then not too far along, this is the regular Thai basil. This is more specifically, this is a Siam Queen variety. This is what they use in the Kra Prao Gai at the restaurants. So its leaves are kind of like pepper leaves. They're a little bit more slender. And then next to it, once again, is a Italian sweet basil. So as far as sowing holy basil, the two varieties that we saw out front, the Kapoor and the Vana, they pretty much grow very easily. The Rama version and the Krishna version, which you'll see in a second, the Krishna is the same as this Rama, but it's purple, and its seeds are a little bit more difficult to germinate. We have some more Rama seedlings down here, and I'll talk about how I got them to germinate a little bit later in the video. But really quickly, these were, I just tossed the seeds in this planter, and then I just sprinkled some peat moss on top. That seems to be working for me. I've had some germination issues in the past, and it got really frustrating, and eventually this is the one technique that worked. The other key to aspect is to make sure that the soil is warm. So as opposed to Rama and Kapoor, they pretty much are very easy to germinate and don't take account for soil temperature too much. These guys are really sensitive, so when starting earlier in the season, it's one of the few seeds that I had to actually take into the garage overnight and take it back out during the day. So I've been rewarded by doing that. So let's go and check out the Krishna Tulsi. Over here in my raised planter is this patch of Rama Tulsi, and this is the first crop of Tulsi that I was able to finally germinate. Not only find the correct variety, but also germinate. And I have a lot of seeds now, so I can pretty much go the brute force way of harvesting the seeds, just dropping it and seeing if it'll germinate or not. When I purchased the seeds, I didn't have too much to begin with, so I had to be super careful to make sure that I don't have to get them again, because they're quite expensive. Down here is next to that is the cousin the purple cousin. This is the Krishna variety, and its leaves are also asymmetric down vertically. And I haven't tasted them, so I would imagine that they taste the same. They're also, once again, known as sacred basil, and this planter here is very new, and the soil is very new, so I have, looks like a nitrogen deficiency because these are not very big leaves as opposed to the other planter that we just looked at. I'll go ahead and show you how I start some of these seeds. So there are generally a few ways to go about growing Tulsi. If you have a lot of seeds, you can just, take it and just sprinkle it and just grow it by attrition. Eventually something will sprout and stuff. So that's one way to do it. But if you have limited seeds, then you want to be a little bit more resourceful with them and put them in a pot like this, and make sure you have a bedding of peat moss in here. I found that peat moss works best. I haven't used coconut coir, but I suppose that could be a substitute. But make sure the peat moss is nice and wet. You want at least an inch of peat moss. So if you don't, if you want, you can put your garden soil here and then give it an inch of peat moss. Make sure the peat moss is nice and wet. This is pack it down as much as you can, and then you take your seeds. You probably get them from a seed packet, and just sprinkle them on top like this. Your seeds are probably going to be clean and they won't have this husk. So just imagine that without this husk business here going on. Sprinkle them, and then what you want to do is maybe take some peat moss and just kind of sprinkle that on top as well too. So once you have that sprinkled, what I do then is I water it by putting it in some water, like put it in a bucket and let the water come through the top. You can, if you'd like to, you can also water from the top as well, and make sure to water it gently, because the water might push the seeds around and you might get a clump of seeds in the corner. So and then the key is, if you're in cooler climate, or if you're in California, you're starting very early in the spring, like in February and March, you're gonna want to take them indoors at night, because even though it feels warm, it's too cold for them. And that's how they're grown from seed. To end this video, I wanted to show you the 4 different varieties, what their leaves look like in contrast. And I hope this has been an educational video. It's been a really fun botanical journey in figuring this all out. And thanks again to Nevin and everyone who commented on my other video and helping me figure this out. So here we have the tree basil, the Vana basil, and then in my hand I went and pulled a Kapoor basil leaf, and that's what it looks like in contrast. And then we have the Krishna Tulsi, which is the purple sister to the Rama Tulsi, and it is also known as Kra Prao in Thai. And that's pretty much it for today. I want to thank you guys always for tuning in, watching, and until the next video, I will catch you later. Happy gardening as well. So a couple of standard basil growing techniques or best practices is to pinch them off as they grow, and this encourages lateral growth, bushy, more leaf, and also it slows down the bolting process. So we're pinching off some of the flowers that are starting to form, and here is an example on this sweet basil of what happens when you pinch it off. The stem has leaves on the sides, and when you pinch them off, they become their own stems. And here we can pinch off these new leaves for use in the kitchen. That's the same thing with the holy basil. Here's another part that was bolting, and we want to pinch that so we can get more leaves. So with the holy basil, the Tulsi, the Krishna, and the Kapoor, we're going to do the same thing. This is already bolted, and it's already going to seed, so it's a little bit late to do that, but you can still do it. You can still pinch it off and slow the bolting process down. It'll send a message to the plant that it should make more leaves instead of spend its energy in making seeds.